Hey guys, it's Friday here at Enchanted Vines, and I'm so fortunate to have a boss who encourages me to have a nice mimosa on a Friday after a hard week of work. So today we're going to be working on more of that kitchen sink style wreath. It is getting close to the time that we need to start decorating for fall, so I really need to use up my spring materials, get some, listings up on my site, and move these products along so that I'm not packing them up and then carrying them over for another year. So here's our current situation. I just pulled already, so, we have some greenery. Out of everything, the thing that caught my eye the most was this purple hydrangea. So we're going to base it around this, okay? So let's go. Fancy camera time. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be cleaning our wreath and identifying what the best side is, okay? So we're going to polish it up by taking off these longer pieces. Luckily, this is, let me see, sorry, focus right. This one doesn't have a lot of leaves or debris in it. And as we're working, we're going to identify what its best side is so that we can make sure we don't build on that. We want to leave that exposed, okay? So this wreath, I feel like we're going to be covering all this, so this is going to stay nice and symmetrical. So I'm going to take my grapevine wire, and we're going to be making a loop with this. I'm going to take my cute ribbon from Amazon, cut a little loop. And then we're going to find one thick piece of the grapevine, and we're going to take our wire, slide it through, twist the ends, and then just slide that loop under so the ends are actually in the grapevine. And then we're just going to mark this with the ribbon. Just because this blends in so easily, it just disappears almost as soon as you do it. So, all right. Now to start, we are going to lay out our greenery. I'm going to use some of our ficus. It's just like my tried and true method for structuring the crescent design. So we're going to take each of these ficus branches and cut it up into 4 pieces. And that is 1 on each side. And then this middle piece is too long, so we're going to cut it at about the halfway point and make 2 pieces out of that. So it's crazy to think that it is June 2nd and we are thinking about fall. And I'm excited about it. I always get excited when we start to gear up for a new season. All right, so to start, we're going to lay out the perimeters using the pointy ficus leaves. I'm going to start with one right up top. And I want to leave this out and keep this nice and airy. I'm going to repeat this step underneath, and when I'm working on the lower part of the wreath, I'm sliding it upward. It gives the materials an extra chance to kind of get stuck in there. Then we're going to go to our middle section of the wreath. Do one at an upward angle, and then we're going to repeat that step, placing a second one pointing upward. We're going to establish how far over in general we're going to go. And I'm going to give this a little bend. These materials, these are from Pioneer, and these are fantastic. They're very malleable. They do not break easily. So, like, these are a good staple to have for wreath making. All right, we're just going to put these other pieces aside for now. So as I said, we're going to use this as our focal point. Now this piece of foliage would be in the way, so we're just going to pull this off. There are some designs that I might save that wreath and repurpose it, but not for this one. So we're going to go in with this gorgeous, dramatic bloom right there. And if you watched my last video on kitchen sink wreaths, I talked about sometimes, you know, bundling things together with zip ties. So that is helping me out here because I'd like to have two coordinating blooms, and because this was already done, this was like an easy find for me. On the top. And I love these chartreuse peonies. They just have such a fresh, vibrant color to them. All right. That to stay. All right. Now we start to pick through. See what we find. So we have some berry smoothie cabbage roses. Go in with. Let's see, I'm gonna put one right here. I love how these colors are just playing off of each other. But this is going to have some major curb appeal. Try and stay with that vibrant tone if I can, if I have enough flowers to do so. What I have in my little kitchen sink of excess one-offs. See that. Go with these peonies. All right, so now I'm going to look for some smaller blooms that can go up top. Oh, you're too dark. You're perfect. All right. So we're going to use these zinnias, and I wish I had more. I think I just have these two, but we'll see. We'll see as we go along. But I always like to end with some smaller blooms. It's kind of like it cascades and thins out as it goes. I also have this girl, but I only have one. So I think I'm going to have to put that on hold as well. This kitchen sink stuff is real. Got to make do with what you have. Alright, so go to the well for a sec. There's a whole lot of trial and error when we do things this way. So a grouping with this little bud. Let's add a few of these pale pink cabbage roses. Well, so I'm curious what people are working on right now. If you're still doing spring, if you do summer, I really don't do a lot for summer. I have a patriotic wreath that I do for Memorial and Veterans Day, but that's about it. So I don't really design a lot of summer wreaths because I don't feel like in the past I've had a lot of sales. I think it's for a lot of people, or at least for myself, my spring wreath carries me through until fall. Okay. Throw in some pale peonies. And these are the ones that I was using on the last video. The foliage is no bueno, so we're gonna just pull that off and discard it. All right, so let's start going in with some texture here. I have these cool, they're almost like begonia leaves, but they've got some deep purple and different shades of green. So as far as like the length and all that, it's not uniform at all. These are all chopped into different pieces. We'll see how we can have these come together. So I'm going to put some along the outer edge to give that movement. And then I think these are going to be a nice disruptor to give our wreath that natural look and add that visual interest. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have this going in between our blooms. Like so. I love when there's a garden with like all the crawly foliage. I think it's so beautiful. So I like to pull that into my designs. So even these real small pieces, if we place them more towards the ends, they'll be prominent enough to get the recognition they deserve. Right here. Exposed grapevine here, which we don't want. Go in with that. I also like to have things pointing in towards the middle. Makes the flowers look a little bit more nestled. Okay. And then we have some lavender. I had to take a mimosa break there. I felt like it was well deserved at that point. All right, so go in with this. I actually don't like it placed so close to our hydrangea. I think it takes away from it. We want it to be the star. So let me go off in a different direction with this. We want there to be a contrast, so if I place something that's, you know, similar in color and vibrancy, I feel like it's going to take away from that being the focal point. So we're just moving that along. Really is like a world of one-offs right now. I'm looking to make some interesting fillers. So with your materials, you're going to cut them up as much as you need to get the most out of them. So even if this stem only has one piece on it, it still can have a great impact. Like I wouldn't discard it. It still has value. So we're going to place this in between. There you go. Earning our keep right away. Okay, now this pink, I think, does a better job of framing this hydrangea without detracting. Just trial and error when you're doing these and you're trying to kind of make yourself use these supplies. All right, so I'm looking and a lot of things look good, but we definitely have to solve the issue here. So it's always good to kind of take a step back. So in doing that, you see that, you know, even though we want this to be the star, we do need to have it wrapped in a little bit more than it is. So let's find something to do that. I have these grains too. So these are a nice play off our chartreuse greens. And so this is another case that I took, you know, the moment to zip tie all the excess. Makes this so much easier. Sometimes you prep all your materials and you get going and then you realize it's not the direction you want to go in. And now you've chopped things up. So go in with this, what is it, maiden hair fern. And this has a front and a back. Not everything does, but this does. So be mindful of how I'm placing it so that the best side is showing. These have really thin stems. So I want to make sure that they get fed through. Everything is fed through the grapevine, but like these especially because they're such a small stem to them. Just want to be extra attentive to that. Again, front side and back side. Work. I like pieces that aren't super stiff and have some movement. I think it's really pretty, like when the wind is blowing gently and your wreath is kind of like moving. It's not that manufactured, you know, HomeSense Target wreath. It looks like the materials are real and they move like they're real. No knock on Target, but it's not where I would get a wreath. No. All right, so I like what these are doing. They're very dramatic. Just like somebody I know. Okay. Placing them in prominent areas, making sure the right side is up. And then also mirroring it. So knowing that it's trailing off at the end, I want to do the same down here. Now we're going to take a step back and assess. I don't know about you, but there is nothing more defeating than that feeling of packing up a bunch of materials at the end of the season and knowing that you're going to have them for the whole next year. good to have some inventory on hand, but it doesn't feel good when you're like, yep, I overspent again. I am looking for the rest of those. I know I had more. So this is something I often use in fall for like our moody florals. So this must be from last year, and it's been, again, getting carried over. So let's strip the leaves that are going to be in the way. And let's go in and put these in some fun spots where they're going to get noticed. So we're going to repeat that. And let's see, we've got 2 more. Let's make it count. This would be a great way to frame this hydrangea. Things always work out. And this little head is damaged, so I'm going to snip it off. You don't want to compromise the quality of a design by leaving something on. So even if you think like maybe nobody's going to notice, it's not worth the chance. If you want to promote that you are using high quality, then you need to make sure that, you know, everything comes intact. I would not be happy if I got something that looked, you know, partially damaged or compromised. All right, so we're going to continue on to the maidenhair fern. And what I like about this is it definitely keeps things very, very airy. So even though there are gaps here, I don't want to completely fill it up and clog it with flowers. I want to fill it, but also let the flowers kind of stand alone a bit. Do you think we need something small, like maybe some ranunculus? Let's do a quick prayer to St. Anthony on some ranunculus. All right, he delivered. Do they match? Oh, I think that looks cute. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to put some here. Hello, star of the show. Now I'm going to have to pray for one more, because I didn't put it where I had intended to use it anyway. I love these. They're like pinkish tangerine ranunculus. Not only does he deliver, but he gives me one with a big bloom. I'm telling you. Best saying out there. It's good for crafters. All right, we're gonna put this right like that. Okay. And this begonia leaf is not balanced, so I just pulled that out, and I'm just going to have it, I want it to look more like this, where it's going right behind our chartreuse colored peony, and it wasn't, it was off to the side. So better to pull it out and then readhere in the right place. That looks so much more balanced to me. Okay. What else we got? We're almost done, I think. And a couple berries. This would be cute. These just rip right off. So if I was doing a centerpiece, I might just take the whole stem and put it in, but for a wreath, I like to separate it. Berries are a little bit expensive, The ones I use are from Pioneer. They are the best berries that I know of. A lot are really made with a lot of paper and kind of like cheap foam. So even though this vase does have some paper wrapping on it, it has a solid stem inside. And even though these are foam, these have a nice thick coating on them so that when you go to like apply your UV spray or they're out in the sun or they get wet, they're not going to just like fall apart. So I think it's definitely worth the money, but I do use them sparingly just to keep costs down. Like if I have a specific price range in mind, I might go easy on the berries. Right, now this one's trailing a little further beyond the foliage, and I like that, so I'm gonna copy that down here. Third time's a charm here. Still one nagging hole right here. I'd like it to be something small. That could be fun. Okay, we're going to use this pink ranunculus. A little snip. Sneak it right on in here. Now, even the leaves from these berries, I think these are worth salvaging. I'm just going to tuck it in right up here. So pretty. It almost looks like this like light is shining on it, the way it lightens like that. All right, so I think that we are just about done. We're gonna go and clean up the backs. All of these things that would scratch a door, we're gonna trim. Because we're trimming the part that the glue was in, we are going to then go back and add some glue to the new base of it, and then we're gonna put some moss over it to hide the mechanics. Okay. So for my glue pot, I use the Sure Bonder glue pot, and that comes with Sure Bonder glue pellets. And then for my glue gun, I use Sure Bonder for the glue gun, and then I use Gorilla Glue for the glue sticks. So right now I'm gluing the back. Now if I got a message from a client who said, you know, my door is in full sun and it's in such full sun that it actually melts the glue. That's why, one, it's important to use high temp glue because it makes it harder for the sun to do that. But knowing that that's someone's concern, I would then flip this over again and I would glue at the base of everything, just so that they're not spending money over and over again on wreaths that are going to melt. I think also if somebody has a storm door, it's like magnified. So there's a likelihood of that too. So it's nice to ask questions because if someone is buying a wreath for a storm door, it can really not be any deeper than 5 inches, ideally like 4.5. So you can see everything the way it's laid out. Mine are usually about 8 inches deep. So if I don't have that information or if I don't ask the right questions, then they might have something that just looks crushed or they can't use it in that area. All right. So the last 2 steps are going to be, one, applying the Krylon UV spray. Well, actually, sorry. The first one is that I'm going to blow dry this and get off the glue hairs. And then the second one is that I'm going to apply the Krylon UV spray outside. I'm going to spray it for a good like 20, 30 seconds. Always pay special attention to the greenery because it's always the first to go. And you can see it's a mess, but I made a dent in the flowers, a little dent in the mimosa, but that'll come. And that's the tutorial for today. So I hope you guys like it, and thanks for watching.